Hello, Mr. McAfee.
Mr. McAfee, can you hear us?
Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Hold on 1 second. Let me change
Hello?
the settings really quickly. Okay.
I'm just fucking with you. I hear you very well.
Okay. Well, I'm Giles, the white one, the Brit one.
I'm the black one. Good afternoon to you.
Well, good afternoon. Black one's on the left here. Is that correct?
It's one of us.
It's one of us. Yeah.
I see you enjoying a nice cocktail.
Is that a beer?
Beer?
Mm.
I'm an Irishman.
You're an Irishman.
Oh wow!
Oh, well,
nice
there you
bottle
go.
of Jameson.
Yes.
We're on gin and
Yeah.
tonic.
So you're Brits, yes, the gin and tonic. I mean, whoever invented that drink, clearly they were on opium or had lost their taste buds or something. Seriously, who would think of quinine and gin? Think about it. Anyway.
Okay. Quinine. All right. Giles, all right. Well, thank you for agreeing to do this, and we really appreciate it. Yeah, we're very grateful. And Giles is going to begin.
I've
got some questions.
I've been following you for a while on Twitter, and I've been enjoying your posts, and especially with the cryptocurrency. I got into cryptocurrency a little bit too late in the game, but I guess going to be maybe there's some new things that you can teach me on the way.
Whatever I can. I don't know much myself, but
well, I've been looking at Ghost. That's going to be. I see the Ghost mainnet is dropping June 22nd.
That's correct. That's correct. We're excited about it.
Okay.
Ghost, the coin. The coin is just one of a package of a system we're developing. The Ghost Exchange will be going live next month.
Mm-hmm.
And then our Ghost phone will be going live in September, and they will all integrate into one package. So
that's cool. Yeah, I saw this the Ghost phone. Sorry.
Yeah. So we on the one of our channels we handed out 20 of the eSIMs just to test. We knew it should work everywhere, but we had people from Germany and London and all over the world, and the test went extremely well. It did not include the security, but everybody who loaded our eSIM was able to connect and get very rapid throughput.
Mr. McAfee, really quickly, could you clarify what do you mean by the eSIM?
Okay. All right. So now the newer phones, the Samsung S20, the Samsung Fold, Google's Pixel, any iPhone released in the past 6 months have what's called eSIM capability. Now, the older phones require a little chip that you actually have to insert into the phone. That chip is provided by your supplier, AT&T, Verizon, whoever.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to change providers, you've got to change your chip. If you want a new phone number, you've got to change your chip. eSIMs, you just download, scan them, and suddenly you're now connected. The beautiful thing about eSIMs, and eSIMs are data only. The beautiful things about eSIMs is that we were able to wrap a cloak of absolute privacy around them, meaning that if you use one of our eSIMs, the Ghost, it's called the Ghost eSIM, then you are completely anonymous, because we don't even ask you who you are. We don't care who you are. If you have an eSIM compatible phone that's not locked, then you just scan it, and we don't ask who you are. We ask no documentation, absolutely nothing. If you want to steal a credit card and pay for it with that, we don't mind. And also, no one can ever locate you. You are now not just anonymous, but you are unlocatable in the world. So this is what we're going to be the first people to do this. And our first tests have been pretty spectacular in terms of coverage. We work in 35 different countries now. Well, all the major countries except China. There's no way to make it work in China, unfortunately. But Russia, the U.S., England, France, almost all of Europe, at least all of Western Europe.
So I guess the providers are having a bit of kickback then from the big providers. They must be a bit pissed off with what you'll be able to do.
Oh, well, it's not just the providers that are pissed off. It's Google's pissed off. The United States is certainly pissed off because it makes. See, here's the problem, right? Everybody's saying, well, criminals are going to use it. Well, of course they're going to use it. Good God Almighty, people! No, wait a minute.
Criminal
Wait a minute.
people too. Criminal people.
What's that?
Criminal
yeah, but so will normal people. But
Yeah.
let me ask you a question. Who were the first people to use the telephone when it was invented? The mob in America, the mafia. Why? They established a nationwide phone system to coordinate criminal activities. When the 8-cylinder engine came out in 1932, who were the first people to buy those cars? Criminals, bank robbers. Bank robbery increased tenfold when the 8-cylinder engine came out. Why? Because the cops, they couldn't afford to buy a new car every year. And so, for 5 years, you couldn't catch a bank robber. They'd come out of the bank. No, they come out of the bank, hop in the car, and just thumb up their noses at the cops. So, of course, criminals use every new technology. People, what do you expect? I mean, if the criminals are not going to use it, there's something wrong with it. It can't be very helpful, can it?
That's a fair point.
Yeah.
Fair point. What I wanted to, I was going to say in terms of, corporate espionage is very real. So are you at all worried about your safety with given this technology? Because we've heard stories about people allegedly coming up missing if they had like some great inventions that might put some major corporations out of business. So are you afraid of something like that?
Well, I mean, Janice and I are already in hiding.
Fair
I mean, ever since we got out of jail in the Dominican Republic last July, we've been underground. I mean, it can't get any more dangerous. I mean, I have the IRS, the SEC, and the CIA after me. I don't know if you knew our history just for the past year. When the IRS convened a grand jury to charge Janice and I with tax fraud. Well, no tax fraud. I just refused to pay taxes. Haven't paid them in 11 years. End of story. But in any case, and I would never will pay them. No, I'm not going to do it. End of story. In any case, but I found out about it, thank God, a week beforehand. And so we left with our entire staff on our yacht from Miami and went to the Bahamas. But I went to the Bahamas because you can't extradite someone from any country if the crime you committed is not a crime in the country you're asking to be extradited from. Like, and the Bahamas has no taxes, so not paying them is not a crime. However, the U.S. tried to kidnap us, and we were there after being there 3 months. We found out about that, went to Cuba. We were there in Cuba for 2 months, and then the Cuban government came and grabbed Janice and I and took us in and said, the United States, as unofficially, because there's no official channel, demanded that we return you to America. And this was a general from the Cuban army that was talking to us. And I thought, oh, fuck, my heart sank. He goes, however, we are disinclined to do that. But you have 72 hours to get out of our country because you are now a major problem. Obviously, I mean, if I'm staying there, now if I'm gone, Cuba can say, well, he's not here, leave us alone. So we were 4 days at sea, pulled into the Dominican Republic, and we were arrested before we got off our boat. We were surrounded by internal security forces from the Dominican Republic. We were in jail just 4 days, but they said the same thing. You have to go back to America, Mr. McAfee. But I had hired 2 lawyers who managed to get us out of that. So we were then sent to London at my request, and from there we've been underground. That was, good God, 11 months ago
Wow.
now. And so no one knows where we are now.
So that wasn't you on the jetpack that you posted on Twitter, leaving the minute.
No, actually, that was just a joke, obviously. But
That's
people
James
kept,
Bond.
I mean, we barely sneaked out of all of those things. I mean, barely escaped the Bahamas, barely escaped Cuba, barely escaped the Dominican Republic, all because the U.S. wants me. Why do they want me? Because I'm doing what I'm doing right here. I'm talking to people about how to make yourself invisible in this world.
Yeah.
And if you don't think people need privacy and anonymity, that's okay, and you can go ahead and be watched and followed all of your life. I don't care. But if you would rather have some privacy, well, then I'm the dude to talk to.
Mm.
And that's why America wants to shut me up, because I just refuse to shut up.
We had a friend here. We won't name names, but his partner cloned his mobile phone and then was able to receive every message that came into that phone, and then he got caught with.
Yes, it's called SIM swapping. It's a hacking technique that anybody can do. It requires some social engineering. That mostly it was done to me 2 years ago, which is why we don't have phones anyway. Janice and I do not own phones, and we will never be able to own phones. It's not possible, because we'd be located until my phone comes out in September, and we'll be able to use that. But we can't make phone calls on it. But we can. Where you and I are talking here and now, and we're not. We're over the internet.
Yeah.
And so there are thousands of apps that let you make calls on the internet. I don't even know anybody that uses phones for phones anymore.
That's true.
So the ghost eSIM, it's perfect timing. People are moving away from actually making phone calls, and they're using their smartphones merely as data devices.
So it's just pure data. That's it.
It's pure data, absolutely.
Okay.
All eSIMs are pure data.
Okay.
But that's where everybody knows that's where we're headed. I mean, that's why Samsung, Google, and Apple in the past year have created eSIM telephones. Knowing that 99% of their customers only use data, and so we're hopping on that bandwagon.
That's good. And how would people then purchase their package, their data packages? Would it be just online?
Well,
or
yeah, absolutely online. You basically, give us a credit card or send us some cryptocurrency, and we will deliver a SIM card to you. Now, you have to sign up for a year's program. This is, by the way, this is not going to be the end-all solution for people because it's too expensive. I'll be frank with you. However, for those things, you can still, by the way, you can still keep the hard SIM in your phone if you like. That's a piece of cake, easy. Also, multiple eSIMs. You can get an eSIM from AT&T and scan that when you want to use AT&T, and scan Ghost when you want to use Ghost. But our packages start at $49.95 a month, and with that, you get 1 gigabyte free. Every additional gigabyte is going to be $30. Now that's hugely expensive. However, you're not going to be using this for everything. You're going to be using this for the things and times where you don't want to be located. Okay. Let's say you're traveling somewhere and you don't want anybody to know where you're going, then pop our eSIM in. You've got still full functionality, but you suddenly became invisible. So this, I think this is, and you're right. Criminals are going to be the first to buy it. Probably the drug lords. I mean, I know this, but you tell me what? Okay, Bitcoin. When Bitcoin was first put out, who used it? Everybody on the dark web selling drugs and hitmen and all this other stuff. We all knew that. Nobody else was using it. Only criminals used Bitcoin at first. And then it finally leaked over into the jet. That's what all technologies do, people. Listen, you couldn't buy an 8-cylinder car in America because the criminals had pre-ordered them. The bank robbers and criminals had pre-ordered them years in advance. I mean, it was just like they were the only ones. If you saw someone with 8-cylinder cars, you knew they're either a bank robber or a mafia captain or a
They could be
don
drag
or
racing.
a hitman or pardon.
They could be drag racing. I'm joking.
Yeah, I don't actually drag racing didn't come along for a few years. Okay. But yeah, so I'm sorry, of course, but this is meant not for criminals. This is meant for you, for everybody who wants to maintain some semblance of privacy.
Mm.
No,
Janice and I need not just we need total invisibility, okay, which
Mhm.
is why we haven't had telephones for over a year. Because if we had one, they would catch us in 5 minutes. You understand?
Wow.
We'd be connected up to some cell tower and say, "Aha, that's John McAfee and Janice." And how would they know it's us? Because we would be calling. Listen, you have no idea how sophisticated covert agencies are now. I mean, they monitor all telephone calls all over the world. And so if we called 3 or 4 friends, they would look at that pad and go, "Oh, fuck me, that's John McAfee or that's Janice." And the next thing you know, we'd be collected. When my phone comes out, I can do anything I want, and I'm not going to know either who I am or where I am.
Just to piggyback off that point you made about, criminals using the technology, really, I mean, the only difference between criminals and non-criminals is it's arbitrary, right? Because, I mean, a few years ago, well, let's say 10, 20 years ago, marijuana was illegal in the whole United
That's right.
States.
Marijuana smokers are criminals. Listen,
Mm.
I got arrested.
10
I
years
got
ago.
arrested in 1973 in Bristol, Tennessee, for possession of weed. I was facing life in prison,
That's
life,
crazy.
because it was classified as a dangerous narcotic.
Schedule 1 narcotic means it's like
Yeah.
the
Schedule
small
1
drug.
narcotic. Fuck
Yeah.
yes. And I had enough that I could have been selling, which is life in prison back in Bristol at that time. Thank God I got off with a misdemeanor and probation. And fuck me, it could have
Mm.
been seriously fucking bad. So no, and now are marijuana smokers criminals? Not in most
No,
states,
No.
you
definitely
know,
not. Actually,
and not in most.
big companies are getting involved in selling and distributing
Oh hell yes,
marijuana
fuck
now.
yes, yes. It's big business.
Yeah, Philip Morris is they're heavily invested. Tons of Salem. These other really big tobacco companies are now starting
Of
to
course,
diversify.
absolutely,
We're
absolutely.
talking about that. I literally about half an hour ago just watched your video on Drugs 101, where you were talking about and
Sorry.
you've tickled my itch because the stuff that you were talking about I had never heard of before, and
Really?
yeah.
Okay.
So I've done the pre-Chinese, shall we say? That's the only
Oh,
thing.
the ones from the 18th century, cocaine, heroin,
I haven't done heroin,
meth.
but,
Well,
but this
methamphetamine, LSD, DMT, ayahuasca, those things. Yeah, well,
yeah,
those are
dimethyltryptamine.
those are for preschoolers. I mean, third graders or something, compared to the Chinese and Russian creations.
Yeah,
The most listen. I've taken every drug on the planet virtually. Well, not every one of the newer ones. There
all the
are
good ones.
thousands, but I've taken all of the older drugs, all of them, including heroin. Which, by the way, I cannot possibly recommend to people. But if you do want to know what being kissed by God is like, well, heroin's the only drug that can do that. I mean, it is. It's like, but here's the problem with heroin. Yes, first time, you have to actually shoot it up. Okay, got to mainline it to get the
Oh
experience. The
my
first time
goodness.
you mainline, it's literally like God comes from heaven, holds your face in God's hands and plants the divine kiss on your fucking lips. Problem is, second time you take it, he doesn't quite plant the kiss. He comes down,
You just
gets
chase it.
close, but you don't get to kiss.
You
And
chase
then the
it.
third time, and you only get kissed once.
Chasing
Only
that
get kissed
dragon.
once. Yes. However, the most powerful drug I have ever taken, methylene dioxypyrovalerone, MDPV. Now, here's the problem with MDPV. You remember maybe 5-6 years ago in Miami, a man ate another man's face off.
Oh yeah, I remember
Just
that.
ate his face.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay. He was on methylene dioxypyrovalerone. Now, here's the problem with MDPV. It is the most dose-sensitive drug ever fucking created. So it's 1 milligram for every 11.34 kilograms of body weight measured naked on a very, very accurate scale. So let's assume the dosage is 5 milligrams and you take 4.9 milligrams. Nothing happens. It's like you took aspirin. Let's assume your dosage is 5 milligrams and you take 5.1 milligrams. You eat off somebody's face. Now,
Oh, wow.
Oh, my goodness.
this is the problem with it. Now, I've taken literally 5 pounds of MDPV in my
Jesus.
life. All right. But I had a $10,000 scale to weigh it on. And here's the problem. You just can't take that drug by getting a gram of it, and then what people tend to do, cut it in half, and then that in half, and that in half. No, you either feel nothing or eat someone's face, or worse. But if you get the dosage right, have you taken LSD, either of you?
I have.
No,
Yeah.
I have never.
I have.
Okay, so you have.
Yes.
So you know what visual hallucinations are,
Yes.
obviously.
Yeah.
Okay. Imagine a drug that simultaneously gives you visual hallucinations,
Mm-hmm.
oral, meaning hearing,
Mm-hmm.
and tactile.
Oh, my
All of
goodness.
it at once. All of it at once. And the problem with it is they don't match. Your visual hallucinations do not match the hearing hallucinations, which do not match the tactile hallucinations.
Wow.
Now, this is the freakiest drug you can ever possibly, like I said, my first taste of it, I was in a public place, and it felt like some woman was giving me the best blowjob I have ever had. I mean, deep throat sort of shit, right?
Holy grail blowjob.
And I look down, but what I see is not even me. I mean, it's like I stop right here, and then there's the floor of the bank where I'm at, and what I'm hearing is someone saying, "John, John, John." This goes on for 2 fucking days.
Jesus.
Now, 2 days. Now that makes everything I have ever taken look like nothing. Nothing. I mean, an LSD trip, 8 hours, you're fine, right?
Yeah.
LSD, usually less. I mean, 8 hours, you kind of, wow, that was something. And you pray you didn't have one of those hellishly introspective LSD trips where you want to just sit in the bathtub and look at the horror of yourself for hours. No, a good LSD trip is nice, but a good MDPV trip is like, fuck me. It's indescribable. And your mind, oddly enough, when it's over, is not scrambled. I mean, it just comes right back together. Now, DMT can scramble your fucking mind. And I've known people who've taken LSD and on their first trip come back and said, I am Jesus, and believed it for the next 10 years.
Wow.
No, MDB doesn't do that. It gives you your mind back. But it's not for beginners. If you've never taken hallucinogenic, don't go anywhere near it. It also has got every component of speed. It's also the greatest drug for sex on the fucking planet. So, yes, there you have it.
Wow. Wow.
Thank you for that. Hold on, let's give you a round of applause. Okay, a rundown.
You can't get it anymore unless you know someone who knows someone, and because every single country in the world has put it on the Schedule 1. I mean, you just cannot get it. And you used to be able to buy it at fucking head shops. 10 years ago, you could go into a head shop and it was sold under the name Ultimate Sextasy, which is why that guy ate somebody's face.
Oh my goodness.
So it's just, no, really.
That's not one of those drugs you can eyeball, right? The dealer just can't eyeball it and give you
No, you can't fucking
Right.
eyeball it, and you can't even weigh it on $100 scale.
yeah.
You can't.
Well, I'm gonna switch it up just a quick bit. Presidential
Switch it up. I mean, how do you get any higher than that?
No. I want to switch it up just in terms of I want to make sure I get my question in, because what I wanted to ask you about was your political run specifically. Marianne Williamson was just interviewed a few days ago, and she was asked like about the process, and her response was it was more corrupt than she had ever imagined. So I just wanted to know how was your
Oh, fuck yes. Okay, so I lost my run, which I knew for the Libertarian Party 2 weeks ago. But the first time I ran was in 2016. That was my first introduction to politics. You have no fucking idea what it's like. I mean, you've seen cage fights. It's fucking child's play compared to the shit that goes on behind the scenes in politics. And this was the Libertarian fucking Party, people. Supposed to be the party of the people, supposed to be the party of freedom, supposed to be the party of independent. Fuck me, they're as bad as anybody. As bad as anybody. I mean, string pulling everywhere, trying to trip people up, trying to, you name it. Fuck, it's you can't believe it. So this time, having experienced the truth of it the first time, I was only playing. I mean, for example, so I was trying to make fun of the entire system, and here's how I did it. Number one, I read all of the libertarian bylaws. They're very nice, but see, no one ever dreams of someone like me coming along, right? So I read them, and I found a loophole. There's nothing in the bylaws that says one man cannot run for both president and vice president. So I did. I announced for both. Now they're going to shore that up. They can't change the bylaws in the middle of a campaign. Can't do it. But I guarantee you, at the end of the election, they're going to rewrite that fucking thing. But still, so I ran for both. And you know, people ask, why are you doing that? Why are you making fun of the thing? I'm not making fun. I mean, think of the advantages. I mean, if I were both president and vice president, I could pardon myself, for example. You know, and presidents have extremely rigid guidelines. I mean, you can't have sex in the Oval Office. Clinton proved that, right? But no one gives a shit what vice presidents do. So as vice president, I could just sort of let loose. And when the press came, we'd go, hey, that was the vice president. I cannot be held accountable for what the fucking vice president does, right? No, so it really pissed all of the party leaders off, but entertained a few people, I'm sure. So no, this was merely of making fun. And in the debates, well, Mr. McAfee, what will you do your first day in office? My answer, I'm not going to have a first day in office. Neither is any of us here in the Libertarian Party. And if you think so, then wake the fuck up, because we are existing in a two-party system, Republicans and Democrats, and there will never be a third party. And history shows us that political parties never grow, for fuck's sake. They start out with 5, 15 sometimes, and they shrink to 10, then 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, and finally one political party. And that's where we're headed. No, I don't know which one it's going to be.
You're right about that.
I'm sorry?
No, I said you're right about that. I just wanted to just quick follow up on that. So in my opinion, well, not in my opinion, but it's been believed that the Libertarian Party is really not an independent party. It's more like a wing of the Republican Party to draw away votes from the Democratic nominees, whomever they may be.
Well, I mean, you know, at the highest level, you're probably right. I'm not privy to that level, unfortunately. But I tell you what, from my perspective, that is sure as fuck what it looks like, doesn't it? I mean, we recruit from the Republican Party. We have donations from Republicans. So fuck yes.
Okay. Giles, any questions?
I'm not adverse to any politics. I hate it all. I'd rather just not bother with anything to do with politics. I mean, you're the politics guy. That's why you had the questions.
Yeah, that's why I had the
Well,
question.
here's the problem. Here is the problem. Okay, now, I don't know if we even have time, and you didn't ask me this question, but I'm going to answer it anyway. I'm assuming that you've asked me, why is this system so corrupt? Why did it become so corrupt? Okay, here's why. In tribal societies, there are no leaders. I mean, for example, even with the Native Americans, well, they had chiefs. Chiefs didn't tell people what to fucking do. The chief's job was to get out in front and see how many people would follow him. That's it. And a good chief got the tone of the tribe and said, we'll do this. And they didn't do it because he said so. They did it because what he said they were going to do, everybody had already agreed to anyway. Do you understand? The chief was just the wise person that go, and women, female chiefs as well. So there were no leaders. There were no people of power. There were no laws either. People think, well, how did they punish in the Amazon, in the Yanomama tribe, where murder is fairly fucking common? How do they punish murderers? You don't. Murder's not against the law in those societies. If you're a murderer, best to stay the fuck away from you, all right? No, this is how it goddamn works, people, in tribal societies. So there is no corruption, really. I mean, yeah, there's murder. Is that corrupt? No, it's human nature to be angry and whatever. You murdered my cousin last year. I'm going to murder your cousin this year or whatever. So there are no laws, none. The individual and the individual's family takes care of themselves. As society grew, as people grew in collectives, we had to have some kind of leader, because otherwise you get 10,000 people together and it's going to be chaos. You know this for a fact. Now, human beings, what are we? We are kind, loving, generous, compassionate, caring. We are also jealous and envious, greedy, sons of bitches, all of us. And if you don't think so, then, well, go back to sleep. Now, when an individual gains power over another, what uses the power? Love? Love doesn't need any fucking power. You know this. Love is simply of the heart which flowers. Does compassion or caring need? Fuck no. What needs power? Greed needs power. Greed certainly needs fucking power. Jealousy and anger needs power. Just the power to smack the motherfucker and get away with it, right?
Yeah.
So when you give an individual power, what part of the individual uses it, for fuck's sake, people?
That's a good point.
The ugly part.
That's a very good point.
Oh, no, but it's so obvious, really. I mean, I'm 74. This did not occur to me when I was 12. I will be frank with you. Okay, but at some point after the age of 50, after observing and having lived a fairly extraordinary existence in terms of experience, it became extremely clear that the more power you give people, the uglier they become. Well, duh. What else could possibly happen?
Yeah.
Because what part of the person is using the fucking power? So now, it reaches out, and then in smaller societies, you can live with it, because even under kings, their power, well, especially in Europe and the Middle Ages and things. I mean, you only had so far to reach, right? I mean, but now you can push a button in the presidential office and murder somebody instantly in Iran or Iraq, or anywhere in the Middle East or anywhere in the world. You have at your disposal the ability to fucking destroy the world. You have an army of millions of highly trained and highly armed angry mofos. Angry, that's what military training does to you if you think about it. Now, power is a serious fucking problem for all of us. All of us. Is there a solution? Yes, temporarily. If I ruled the world, which I do not, I would demand that every 20 years, everybody in government pack their fucking bags and walk out. Who do we replace them with? I don't give a shit. Derelicts on the street. That's all I care. And people go, oh, well, all the experience you've lost. Experience in what? Experience in taking money from your fucking pocket and putting it into theirs. A lot of that experience, people. Experience in stomping on weaker people. A lot of that experience. What experience have you really lost? You've lost the experience of corruption, people. So, but that's neither here nor there. We have time for one more question. My apologies.
Okay. There's a quick one I wanted to ask because it's coming up on the anniversary of your most watched YouTube video, the how to uninstall McAfee antivirus, so the 10 million views. When are you going to make a crazy one like that again? Because that was funny as hell to watch.
I don't know. My boss is right here, Janice. I mean, she rules me, really. I mean, listen, I'm not truly racist, but I will say the following: marrying a black woman is not for the faint of heart, nor the weak of body. And so, no offense, brother. But you fucking know. You fucking know. I don't have to tell you. God damn it, dude. All right. My apologies. But okay, for 8 years I have loved and cherished this woman. Don't you fuck with me, bitch. All right? Anyway, I have loved and cherished this woman. She's laughing, thank God. You never know.
Be a different story when you stop recording.
Well, at the very bottom, she is Satan herself when that urge arises. So my job, and dude, if you marry, are you married, my friend?
No, I'm not.
Black
married.
guy.
I'm not married.
Okay. It's okay, Janice. He's smiling. Now, well, I will advise you to marry either fucking an Asian, an Eskimo. I think make excellent wives. But you have dated, I am sure.
Oh yeah,
black woman.
I've been around.
You know what the fuck? You know what the fuck I am talking about, dude. So in any case, my job is to never cross that fucking line. Let me show you something.
Too late.
Hang on.
Too late.
I don't know if you can see the tattoo on my chest. It says, "Do not fuck with my wife." The mirror image, so that I can see it in the mirror every fucking morning.
Wow.
The warning is to me, and it's on a scorpion, people. A scorpion with that tail ready to fucking strike. So that's why I go, yeah, okay. My most important thing to remember is just don't cross that fucking line with this bitch, which who I love dearly, all right, and who's sitting in front of me right now. Okay.
That's perfect.
All right, gentlemen. I'm so sorry I took up all the time.
Okay, no, thank you very much. And thank you to.
And if you guys ever want to do this again, I'd be happy to. I have a short list of people, and I tell this to very few people. But you two, I'd be happy to talk to again. So,
great, thank you very much.
I appreciate that. Thank
all you got to do is.
Gotta give you a round of applause. Really appreciate it.
All right.
Really appreciate it. And this has been a great, enlightening conversation. And like you said, I hope everything goes well. Hope we can meet each other again, virtually or in the person.
So do I. And it would be nice if we could meet where we could clink our glasses together sometime.
Definitely.
So thank you, gentlemen.
I'll bring the Jamesons.
Until then, cheers to you.
Cheers.
Cheers.
All right, my friend.
You have a good afternoon. Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.